Alrighty, so we are live for the Fireside chat. I'm thinking the buttons on my client. Okay, yeah, it's showing up on Twitch, so we're clearly live. The buttons are like grayed out like the program pros, but everything appears to be in order. So, so far, definitely significantly decreased turnout from the previous one, so maybe this won't be a long one. We'll see. As far as stuff to talk out. Well, we actually see. I can't say we don't have much to talk about because, well, there is at least something to talk about because, well, maybe some people noticed, but I made a couple little additions to the server. This is mostly stuff we had talked about previously, or people had suggested, but there is a new, like, not safe for work discussion / debate channel called Niflheim, which was created. And now there is a new welcome landing pad channel called Bifrost. And in going with that, and Fullmather actually told me how to do this, credit him for the idea, but I disabled invite links, and instead there's just going to be one invite link that we use for everything. And if necessary, I can create more invite links and then assign them to, or people can use them for like their public posts, like on Steam or something. So then we'll actually know by looking at the invites, who, say, clicked on Skylymerker's post to find our server, because it'll show, because we have a specific invite link for that one. But I think it's just a very small inconvenience. It's still really easy to copy and paste the link, and this way it lets us really realize how people find the server and make sure that they go to the welcome channel first, and now people can use the welcome channel to welcome people to the server and show them around and that kind of thing. And can't remember if I actually mentioned it yet, but yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, Niflheim is there, and so those are the two new channels. I also, this is a small thing, but I changed the order. I put Gonna Gap at the top of the WAS naming because it seemed like it makes sense. I feel like it sees the most traffic, and then Niflheim right below it, since they're kind of two sides of the coin, I guess, like images, memes, spam, not safe for work, and then discussion. That kind of thing.
You've cursed me, Soulite. You gave me this promise. Now I've got a coalition against me.
What'd you do? Who'd you kill?
We are live right now.
Yes, we are.
Okay, question stands.
Shaking my head.
Oh, were we going to talk about clan things? Well, let's get on with it.
Well, so that was the server changes. I'm currently working on the handbook. Well, actually, it's done. The handbook and the pocket guide, with all some changes, are done. I'm just gonna have to update the images in the forums and in the rules channel, and I'll make an announcement where I kind of list all the changes. But I think the big things are border review. I think I added a lot to that, and it was some things I mentioned before. But basically, it's going to be, instead of doing voice activity or whatever, just going to be listing members and then copying the rule requirements. And the rule requirements can be shortened or whatever, but just listing, the same number of bullet points as in the handbook for each member, and then just using either a system of checkmark for meets the requirements or X it doesn't, or alternatively numbers from 1 to 5, 1 being never meets it, expectations, this requirement, 2, sometimes 3, always meets them, 4, sometimes exceeds them, 5, always exceeds them. But this is all going to be in the new handbook too. But just essentially what it will be is it's going through each member and saying their raider, here's the requirements for raider, are they meeting each one? And then if you think that they should be promoted, then listing requirements for the rank above them and saying that they meet those.
Obviously, so we'll have all of this information within a guide of sorts in the handbook, right?
Yep, it is all in the handbook. Well, I haven't uploaded it yet, but once I upload it, yes, it will be. And,
okay, cool.
I've also added that I'm going to ask Jarls to do a border review also, where they just evaluate all the officers. Because I feel like that makes sense. I mean, I know both Fold and Soul do quite a bit of work, so hate to throw more on them, but I think it makes sense just to make sure that we have accountability, that all officers are doing their job. And it's just an easy way to do it, because I know what we've already done is there's a convo between Fold and Soulite and I, and sometimes we just, we're evaluating officers and that, so this just makes it, I think official and easier to do, hopefully.
So will other officers be included in peer reviews, or?
Yeah, so all officers, well, Thane and above will have permission to view and comment and everything in all of the boards of review for every warband. I think that might already be the case, isn't it? I'm not 100% certain on the permissions. I can look later, but the intention anyway, and I'll double check it after I upload the handbook, is that all of those Thane or above have access to all the warband chats. I mean, all the warband boards of review. So then, so what I'm going to do for time is the earliest that the Huskarls can start posting the board of review is midnight Pacific on Sunday night. And then the promotions are actually not finalized until Wednesday when the Jarls write their situation reports, at which time they will also announce any promotions and stuff like that. So basically that gives you, I mean, depending on how things go, but hopefully it's like a 2.5 day period. And I think the only kind of worry would be if Huskar does the board of review Wednesday morning or something, but I think it states in the handbook.
When's the cutoff?
Yeah, so it states in the handbook that they should complete it as early as possible during that time. I can add a specific deadline, but I wanted to give them flexibility, if they're busy a certain time or something.
Have we had issues before?
No.
Currently, then I mean.
Well, oh yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay.
What Kusi means by issues is that
thorough, trying to be thorough.
Yeah, he's saying that we've had issues with deadlines in that some of the officers haven't had time to look at the board of review just based on availability and I think that's just a result of the current system being it's all on Tuesday, so then sometimes the whole thing happens at the span of an hour on Tuesday, and then they're posted. So this is intended to fix that. I can add, and that's kind of a good point you bring up, is maybe adding that they need to be done, the promotions need to be done by I don't know.
So I mean,
noon on Tuesday. Does that?
You could say they need to get it in as soon as possible, but for each batch you need X amount of time of deliberation. So it doesn't matter when they do it as long as they do it as soon as possible, given a general time range. But then once it's submitted, then there's X amount of hours, or 24 hours a day, perhaps 12 hours, whatever. After that, for just that lot of people. So I mean, you could pass out promotions as you get them. So if someone's really early, okay, it's discussed, and then yes, we've talked about it, everyone's good, we've had X amount of time, okay, they get promoted early. Is that an issue? And then we just piecemeal through everybody, and if someone's chronically late, well, then we talk to them or enforce the deadline more. But we just need to enforce the window. It's not so much when they do it, it's after it's submitted, how much discussion do we have? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if we did that, I would still have to add a deadline so that we don't have somebody doing it Wednesday morning, and then we have to have 24-hour discussions, and then we're delaying the sit rep. So I think the end result here is either way, we need to have a deadline for when the Huskarl has to have finished their suggestions. So, I mean, I don't know, does noon at Tuesday make sense? Because that would give approximately a day. I mean, I could make it earlier. It's just a balance between enough time that the Huskarl has time to do it and enough time that all the officers have time to read it.
Well, if it's opened up from Sunday night, that's tripling the length of time. So even if you're noon on this day, you still have 2-3 days to do it.
If I may just add something, I don't know if my reviews have been an issue time-wise, but I start them on Tuesday mornings, and then when I get back from work, I finish them up in the afternoon. So if the cutoff was at noon, that would kind of hurt me. I'd have to move everything around.
Well, could you do them on Monday, or does that not work?
I mean, I guess I could. It's just that so far the way I've been doing it is on Mondays. On Mondays, I would talk to the berserkers and they'd bring in the suggestions and all that. And then on Tuesdays, I would write the whole review.
Okay. I don't think anybody's reviews have been like a big problem. I mean, nobody's like breaking any rules or anything. I think it was just a general thing of some of the officers feeling like they didn't have a chance to read them.
Okay.
Yeah, Pato, yours is fine actually. It's just that using you as an example, say you do it, you talk to people Monday, you start it Tuesday morning, you put them in, Tuesday night, even into Wednesday early morning. Well, if someone misses it, late Wednesday night, they're not going to see it until the afternoon when they come back, like from work. So there's only that little window when you see what I'm saying. So it's not you, it's just like people have real life.
Well,
things to
yeah,
do, just
and
like you do. So
that's the thing. This is just me personally, like my personal life. The way I'm doing it works very well. If I were to change it to like Mondays or whatever, it wouldn't work as well. So just for me, I'd prefer just leaving it as is.
Would it be possible for you to like shift your routine back a day so you talk to the berserkers on Sunday?
Yeah, it's more like work and stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean, like right now, how it is in the handbook, as I have it sitting on my computer right now, is that the border review runs from midnight on Sunday until Wednesday, whenever the Jarl writes the report. So that totally works for you. I think the only thing that we're trying to figure out is if there should be some kind of another deadline thrown into that span of time of when the Huskarl has to have their
a deadline specifically for the Huskarl and not for the
Yeah.
overall. Now, I understand that. I just, again, for me personally, I'd kind of be against that just because of my situation. That's all.
Well,
That's
I could adapt, but it would just not be ideal.
This is going to sound crazy, but why don't we adjust the sit reps? Since that's all like bureaucratic paperwork anyway, that can happen whenever. So why don't we give them the 3 days until Wednesday or Thursday noon or whatever it was to get it in, and then promotions come out just whenever they do, within the next day or so. I mean, why are we so hard and fast on the back end time, and then we're extending front end time? Why don't we just fix the front end time and that stays the same, and then just whenever we get done with the back end discussion, that just is released.
Well,
Excuse my introduction, but
Hey,
are we talking about the date at which sit reps are to be done?
well, partially. Kusi just brought that up. We're kind of talking about boards of review, and the new change I'm making to the handbook is that boards of review are running from midnight Sunday night until Wednesday when the Jarls post their sit reps and finalize the promotions. I mean, it might work as is because what I have on the handbook is just Huskarls are advised to complete them as soon as possible. And I'm sure doing it on like just the way that Pato's been doing it already on Tuesday should give everyone time to comment on them. But I don't know. I think Kusi might have an idea as well of just shifting sit reps to Thursday, and then do you think, Kusi, that we should have the deadline be like Tuesday night at midnight for the Huskarls part to be done?
yeah, I mean, that sounds fine. In my view, it sounds like this is a two-step process. There needs to be a handoff from the Huskarls to everyone else. So once they've locked in their suggestions, now everyone decides openly kind of about it in the board of review.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they're in early, you can talk about them earlier, but like there needs to be a floor somewhere, because like right now, it's like people are up right up until the deadline, like you said, and then there's like an hour or two window, and if you miss it, you miss it, and you had no input. And like I can only see one of the, for instance, I can only see one of the great companies. So like some of the lower level discussion, I don't even see until it's in the overall board review. So I got to research people. I got to, pick people out that are being suggested. And I mean, that takes time. If I'm going to go through the laundry list of people, like if I'm doing, this is maybe me just being overly thorough, but if I look at each person in each warband to do due diligence, or even just the people looking for promotions or demotions, not even just the status quo people, like that's still a lot of time, and I only get half the picture until we're getting close to the end there. So I definitely think there needs to be a cutoff until it's opened up. The lower level discussion's done, then it opens up to everyone.
I think that works really well because then that's basically no change for the Huskarls as they've been doing it.
Exactly.
The only change is that it will officially say that you can do it as early as midnight on Sunday night. So that gives them 48 hours. So that should be time if they're busy for whatnot at any certain time. And then so we'll do Tuesday midnight would be the deadline, and then Thursday sit reps. That will give probably not quite 48, but like 36-ish hours of deliberation.
That's probably good.
Okay, I have that written down, so I'll add that to the handbook before I update it too. Yeah.
I was just wondering, have we looked into any better way of reporting activity? Because I just know with my schedule, it's like a little bit of a pain in the ass to go through voice activity and text activity.
Yeah, so I think in the most recent handbook, that's never been in the handbook that we have to do that thing of looking up voice and text. It's just like it's just what a lot of people have done, so it kind of caught on. But specifically, not only is it not in the handbook, the draft I'm working on now, but I'm actually going to even change it. So there is, I kind of mentioned it earlier, there's going to be just a checklist. So you just go with each person and you just look at the rank requirements and say, meeting them or not meeting them, that thing. So instead of looking up voice or text activity, we'll just be going strictly by the rank requirements. And that's the only thing. So yeah, you shouldn't have to, you don't have to do that right now, technically, but it's just kind of a good way to gauge activity, I guess, for people. It's kind of unreliable, but anyway, the point isn't to debate that because it is now gone with this upcoming draft for sure, because there's a new way of doing it, which will just be, like I said, rank requirements checklist thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what other changes.
Since we're on topic, am I missing something, or did the sit reps not get posted this week?
They did not. Yeah. What happened, Jarl?
We're talking about Huskarls
Wow.
here.
Did we
that
all,
did
we
their
all forgot about it? Holy cow.
I haven't done them in so long I forgot sit reps are a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Bold,
Randy did
Mr.
the last
Jarl,
one.
sir.
Ooh, boy.
Bring back the meme, not my Jarl.
Well, even worse, I didn't even notice that
Best.
they were posted.
Hi, King, come
Ooh.
on.
We need a total leadership overhaul here.
The Huskarls rise.
JK. Or am I?
Dang. Well, we'll try to get those out then, I suppose. Jeez. Good catch.
Well, I noticed because I look forward to seeing them, honestly, and I didn't see them, so I was a little confused.
Yeah, I'm always reading them the next day, and I guess I didn't even think about their absence for some reason, but yeah, well. For sit reps as far as in the handbook, well, I guess because you said we'll move them to Thursdays when they're posted and promotions are finalized. But other than that, I think
So
the
we
format's
did
been fine.
that.
Yeah, you're right. You knew that I
This
would
was
change
the
the
plan.
handbook.
Retroactively okay.
That's why I didn't write him. Yeah, good thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they're Jarls and High King. They're all telepathic.
Yeah, it's in the rank requirements. Yeah, telepathy is.
Damn, I'll never get there. I can't even tell what I'm thinking.
As for other changes of the handbook, I'm not thinking of anything else really big. It's gonna be one thing. So officially now, chat in Mead Hall and Bifrost, the Welcome channel, is supposed to be PG, and then we have the new Niflheim, not safe for work channel.
You should call it Milfheim.
That can be the meme name, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's something a lot of people had suggested earlier. But that's just to give a good impression, I guess, to brand new people on the server. Then we still have all the channels there for whatever you want to talk about.
Don't corrupt their virgin ears.
Welcome
Welcome to the internet.
And then that, I accidentally closed my copy of the handbook. So hold on, let me open it up again.
Heresy. Must always be on display.
Indeed.
Never be closed.
Well, I know I have this instinct where sometimes I just close stuff, like, and I shouldn't. Like if I'm like
Without
referencing something, yeah, and then I'll stop looking at it.
checking.
Yeah, and my hand is just like X the window, and then like, why did I close that? I'm gonna have to keep looking at it.
I
Vest,
just want to look it up again.
Vest, you have both an image file version and a PDF version. You also need a wallpaper desktop version.
Oh god.
Just make it your desktop wallpaper.
Can we turn it into a GIF? Is that a yes?
Unlikely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the fold math or unlikely. That's a good answer.
Wait, I said highly likely.
Oh.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with the me unlikely.
Not my Earl.
Let's see. Anything else here? Oh, recruiting. So I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I'm working on an official recruiting guide that will say like exactly what you're supposed to do. And kind of going with that, we have the whole invite link thing now, where you use the invite link to the Bifrost channel, and that's like the landing pad. And so this is kind of a big thing. Now you'll have to be a warrior to recruit. So scouts can't recruit because scout is sort of a change and a little bit of what it is already. But the idea is that scout is the introductory rank where you just learned WA, you know, you're learning about it, finding your way around, etc., etc. Then warriors are like the bread and butter standard members of the clan who are expected to already know how the clan works, so then they can be expected to recruit people properly and explain the nature of the clan to them and all that kind of stuff. Whereas scouts are, just kind of introductory members. And then the time requirements have changed from like 1 month in WA, 2 months in WA to be a warrior, you have to have been a scout for a month. To be a raider, you have to have been a warrior for a month. So in a way, it's sort of the same amount of time, but it kind of fixes the loophole of what if I was in WA for 10 years and then I come back, I was gone and I come back. Do I just become a Jarl? Well, no. You have to be a scout for a month and then so forth.
No 2 rank promotions.
Yeah.
Or will there be?
Not that we don't like you guys. Just in even measure, we'll get you there.
Yes.
Let's see. There's that. Recruiting guide. So there's a few additions in the laws section of the handbook, but it's all basically just stuff I already mentioned. I did put that public WA recruitment posts have to be vetted with your superior officers, just to make sure that they're good enough, I guess, or they have the information that should be there, since that's like sort of a public advertisement for the clan, is making sure everything looks good for it. And that they should have the proper invite link. And I did add in the laws that people need to recruit properly and follow the guide, and if they don't, that they could be demoted or something like that. Just because.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's always cool to see people like recruiting because it shows passion in the clan and everything like that. But at the same time, we have to, the point is that there's some people on our server that are just guests, just hanging out, and that if you want to be an actual member and ideally ascend to the rank of warrior would be one's goal at the very least. If you join the clan, you have to meet some requirements. You have some stuff to do. You have to follow the roll call. You have to follow all these rules. It's traditions. There's the stuff like the Norse name. You have to have their family name. There's stuff that you have to do. It's actually, there's a divide between just people hanging out and people joining the clan officially. And I think that a lot of people sometimes will just throw out a server invite and then just recruit like 20 people that just click the link or whatever, where really it should be a process where you have to personally explain to them all the rules and everything about the clan, and help them find their way as well. It should be beyond just like, hey, you're on the server now, and then never talk to them again. Like, you're their kind of guide. And in going with that, there is also added, and this was discussed previous firesides, but it's now the Huskarl should be checking in with the scouts to see, just kind of like introducing themselves basically, which I'm sure some Huskarls are probably already doing. I don't really know because that would be in DMs, but the main purpose is to check in with the scout and make sure that they learn the basics about WA and that stuff, which is then a requirement to become warrior. You have to know all that stuff. So not only should their recruiter be telling them, but their Huskarl should be double checking to make sure they know it. So that should be good quality control, I guess.
I was sweating here, but now I know I'm safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically the idea there would be if a Huskarl checks in and they're like, hey, so I'm your Huskarl, do you know all this stuff? And the scout is like, what is WA and what are you talking about? Then the Huskarl will be like, okay, the recruiter clearly did not do a good job, and then we can go check in with the recruiter and make sure that they know how to recruit properly and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was, I know I had, I believe it was Manigathi recruiting a bunch of people recently, and I had to go double check, make sure they're recruited properly, but honestly, I feel like a lot of the people we have been pretty trustworthy in their recruiting.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a lot of like big issues. I guess it's just making sure. I mean, it's something that's hard to know because a lot of the recruiting process is probably going to be done in DM. So, we just see somebody join the meet hall and then that's it. So we don't really know what happened. But yeah, the idea there is just to try to make it really clear who can recruit, how to recruit. And I should mention this was also something that we went over in previous firesides, but that we're gonna do. So after somebody joins the server, they can't actually be recruited for 48 hours unless the person who wants to recruit them talks to their Huskarl. And then I've also added that if somebody joins through a like a public forums link or something, that the person who posted that link will have dibs on that recruit for 72 hours, after which anybody can recruit them. So that should give the person, if they posted the link, time to introduce that member to WA and really go through the whole recruiting process with them. If they don't do it for 72 hours, then, and if it was in the first 48, they would have to get permission from the Huskarl too. But that should give them time. I think 3 days was what seemed to be the consensus before, so hopefully that should I think for a lot of people, this is not even a big issue, I guess, but it should just make things a little bit clearer on how joining the server from public invite links, how recruiting works for that, who can recruit that person, when. And the 48-hour window is really just to help with that recruiting vetting and to make sure that people aren't just throwing people into WA ranks without talking to them at all. Just because if the 48 hours have passed, and they can still do that, but they just have to talk to their Huskarl. So that just adds just like a check there where the Huskarl can make sure everything is, that they've explained it and all that. So hopefully overall it should just make recruiting way higher quality. And I don't know, like some people have said, like, I didn't know that recruiting has been terrible, and obviously it's really cool when people are recruiting. I love to see like the passion and that kind of thing, but it should just help make sure that everyone is doing everything right.
Okay. Are the Huskarls able to recruit before the 48 hours, or are they also held accountable for that?
Well, you would need permission from yourself. So technically, yes, you could just straight up recruit people immediately.
That's what I was wondering, because if it's the 48 hours for everyone else, I was wondering if Huskarls had to do the same.
No. So 48 hours for everyone else, unless they get permission from the Huskarl. So Huskarl and up. It's expected that you guys all have good enough judgment that you are exempt from that window effectively.
Now,
the Jarl wouldn't need permission from the Huskarl recruit or anything like that.
Now, what if someone was brought in on a link and say they're a new member who posted the link, so they would still get dibs, but maybe the Huskarl would have to aid in the recruitment?
Oh, so you shouldn't
on their behalf, basically.
Yeah, so the warrior and up are the only ones who can recruit. That's a good point. I should add that. So you're saying like if a scout wants to recruit,
Like, hey, I joined this link. This is my friend. They're IRL friends. Like, they're chill. They've been here 48 hours, but then within 72 hours or whatever, like, they still have dibs. Not that anyone would like try to poach them, but they would obviously need assistance. They're not a warrior and up, but I think they should be able to go to someone and say, hey, listen, I'm bringing this person in. I want them to be my recruit. Would you please help me set aside some time and do that?
I feel like if you're recruiting, you should be there within the 72 hours.
Right.
yeah, I don't know about. I'm 50-50 on scouts recruiting. Like I don't know that scouts should be
no, just for
posting the
me.
links.
Just for lineage, like the Huskarl or someone else would have to do the actual recruiting. Does that make
Well,
sense?
but if they
So
did the
it-
recruiting, they should kind of be their recruit. I feel like.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like you see,
I mean-
like after the time limit, the scout might not
See-
be there for whatever reason, and that person might be asking, like, "Hey, can I go in?" But the scout just happens to not be there. So you're saying is we should help them get in, but still have them be the person who invited to recruit.
Right, because when you join something, you tell their friend, they're going to come the next day, and if you can't recruit them, they're going to say, "F this, I'm out." You know. I don't
Also,
think
it's
that
like
should
their
affect
person.
lineage. I'm sorry, what?
I just said also it's like their person, like their friend. I think it would only be fair for them to be like their lineage.
Yeah.
Suppose that's true. Okay, well I can add something then that scouts can, have somebody else go through the recruiting process to make sure it's good, and then they can still be there for lineage. I think that's probably okay.
Cool. So, if anyone needs help, talk to me, talk to an officer. We'll
Do you
help
think do you think warrior and up should be allowed to do that, or should you have to be like an officer to do that? To
I
like
mean, if we're gonna trust
chaperone.
warriors doing it themselves, then they should be able to recruit on someone's behalf.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that should be the case, unless it's something like a forum, like you post a recruitment thread on a forum or something, they come.
Well,
I think that
they
should
shouldn't just
still
be
have-
like straight up grabbing people from a link and then just making them scouts immediately anyway. Because there's supposed to be that
no.
48 window.
Oh no, that's what I mean though. Is there still that like awkward time limit? Like not that it's really awkward, but like let's say 2 days ago I posted a recruitment thread somewhere. 48 hours later, that person is online wanting to join, or sorry, was it 72 for like a forum link?
Well, that would be if you're not the one who posted the link.
Okay, well if I posted it and there's that 48 hours,
You
And
could
then-
get the Huskarl's permission, 10 seconds after they join or something.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like after that 48 hours, that person's still here doing stuff, but I'm at work for like the next 10 hours.
So,
But I'm still a Huskarl. Would that person still be of my lineage since it was my forum link?
who's recruiting them?
Well, if it's my thread and I wanted to recruit them, but I'm just not there after the 48 hours because I'm working.
Well, they don't actually get recruited till you like go through the process with them and like talk to them about it.
You would have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's the first 72 hours when they join the server, if it was from like your forum link, nobody else can recruit them except you. But then after that, somebody else can recruit them.
I mean, unless you like agreed that like, hey, I'll recruit you later when I have a chance. Like, there's like public agreement, or you say, hey, Kuzi, like, watch out for this person. Just make sure, like, hey, I'm gonna be there tomorrow. Just make sure no one recruits them. Like, I'm sure we can work it out. Just because we have that window, but like, if they're clearly yours and it was clearly your link, and you're willing to do the work just at a later date, I don't see a reason why we don't just feed them to you when you get back.
if you're AFK for 3 days and someone has joined the server with the intentions of joining,
Well,
I
I'm
don't
not.
think it makes sense to
I mean,
like.
if you haven't seen them in 3 days, if you didn't even know they were here, otherwise you have to square those
No, like I'm just
things
saying.
early.
I'm just saying I could be there like for the first 48 hours because I know I personally, when I recruit, I'm like, as I'm gaming with them and stuff, I'm telling them about WA until I feel like they're ready for that like final, like, okay, I want in, you know?
Sure, that's a little different than just a random link.
I don't feel like I'm conveying what I mean to say. I'll just like pass on this topic for now and come back with a more
We can talk
clear.
offline.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, what I have here is that scouts can recruit with, if they get a warrior plus, kind of do it for them, basically, and they can still get it, in their lineage officially. And, yeah, I'll make sure that it's clear that, for 72 hours, if it was your, public post or whatever on Steam forums or whatnot, you have dibs in that recruit, but unless you say otherwise, like, oh, so like you can recruit this guy. But, yeah. So I can add that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all the big changes in the handbook. I did add a mention of the outriders and the trigrams for unsfavored, so that's a little bit clearer in the handbook for anybody reading on what that is, if they do not know already. And let's see, anything else here? Oh, so I did add, I can't remember who suggested this, but every other month I will conduct a survey of all the warbands to kind of get an idea of their numbers, and probably talking to the Jarls and maybe the Huskarls about it to kind of evaluate if we need to make any more great companies or warbands and or disband any of them. I mean, obviously I don't think any of them are doing so bad that we would disband them right now, but if at some point that was necessary, and that just to make sure we're, constantly keeping track of, kind of our numbers and if warbands are getting too full or something like that. So that's just a little thing. Other than that, let's see. Oh, I did add, so temporary exile and chat bans are another, like, punishment, aside from demotions that, Sola had come up with, so I am, adding that. Option if necessary. And let's see here, recruiting guy. Yeah, that's the whole handbook. So it's basically all the changes. So I feel like nothing huge, but a couple of things. I mean, like scouts not being able to recruit, kind of, ranks changing a bit, and some rewording of the laws a little bit, that Solite wrote, which is just basically make them more clear, but fundamentally it's just basically just like be respectful to people, which is kind of what they are right now, but just continually trying to make it really clear so that nothing's ambiguous and people know like what would be okay and what won't be okay as much as we can. But yeah, I think that's just about it for the handbook. Did anybody have anything they wanted to bring up?
Yeah, actually. So there's a couple members that want to attend these fireside chats in person, in live, even though the streams and the after action, like podcasts, soundcasts, whatever, are nice. So they could raise their own questions and discuss in real time. Is there any possibility that we could stagger, maybe alternating weeks, which day it is on? Because this is a fixed schedule. People have fixed schedules in real life. They can't always attend due to conflicts.
The Fireside chat itself?
Yes.
I guess it's an option, but I kind of like, it being on a set date so people always know as well.
I'd say if someone wants certain points brought up specifically during fireside chat, they should just feel free to message Vest privately, and he can note it down and bring it up the next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. Like, I mean, I feel a bit bad when people miss it based on schedules, but I mean, it's people can message me about stuff anytime or ping me in Meat Hall or whatever. Like, you know, I think it's almost gotten to the point where people think like, oh, I have to bring this up in Fireside. There's no other way to make it happen. But people can message me anytime, and they can say, can you bring this up in Fireside? That kind of thing. People can watch the VODs. I feel like there's like some options for people. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, whatever day it is, some people will miss it.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a I want to participate in a live event. I mean, this is very much a cool WA culture thing that we're doing here. You know, tradition-wise, like you're doing these, like this is going to continue. You know, and it's just a fun aspect where everyone comes together and talks. And you're right, you can tell someone else to bring up discussion points such as what I'm doing. You can message Vest or another, you know, officer. That's a possibility. I mean, I think it's unfortunate, but I mean, there are options. So, I don't know. Just think about it. Maybe if like we get double our member base, cough cough, guys, good recruits, then maybe we can, I don't know, consider it just because scheduling. But
we could look at just having more live events. I mean, that's another thing.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it would probably be a good idea to, you know, when it comes to it, to start having warband meetings. Because I know like Moon's Favorite has had warband meetings with berserkers and whatnot, but probably something, you know, in the same stroke as Fireside Chat, where your Huskarl just spends an hour or something just sitting in whichever voice channel, and anyone can come and talk and, you know, whatever, and then the Huskarl as their ambassador can then bring those issues to Fireside if they can't make it, because, you know, I'm being of the assumption that they can trust their Huskarl with these issues that they want brought up, and that they will get them across in a way that will satisfy them. That way, you know, even if they can't be there in person, they can still get the point across. Because I think that's kind of what people mean sometimes when they want to show up in person. Because, you know, I could tell Ranleafer about how much I want us to, you know, rename House Dane to House Octopus or whatever. But, you know, unless I'm there in person, then he might not get the whole idea or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I think that's great.
Yeah, I think having some sort of like more personal, like warband, smaller meetings, and then having Huskarls bring that to Fireside would be a great idea.
I think using the chain of command is good, just so people are clear that that's definitely an option, and that we will discuss everything as obviously time allows, or as appropriateness allows. I'm just doing my due diligence by raising this point. So whatever you guys decide, but just throwing it out there.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I think for sure, like I said, we can look at having like more live stuff. I don't know.
House Wars.
Yeah. What else we could have? But I think warband meetings are a great idea as well, and really just anything that Huskarls want to do. You know, like if they ever have something like, oh, can I do this? Like my answer is pretty much always yes. Like I really want to just like let them run with whatever they want. But I think I guess I should mention as well warband codexes. I know I brought that up previously, and I think my conclusion was like I basically just said it can be whatever you want, and I think most of the Huskarls were like, okay, what is it then? Like I don't think that I was like specific on it. So my plan is, you can probably see this in the forums, is I'm just gonna make a sub forum for each warband, or I already did rather, and basically I'm gonna make a template codex, and then I'm just gonna ask the Huskarls to just make posts on the forums for their codex, and then if any of the Huskarls want to do something else, they totally can. But I think that, I mean, not every Huskarl is just like, you know, creative, free-running, can just create an entire system. You know, I totally get that. I think that's something I hadn't considered so much before. So I think this will help, hopefully, make it so it's not just so ambiguous and unclear what I want in codexes, but rather I'll have a template and it'll be really specific what you can do, unless you want to do your own spin on it. And the idea with that just being to honor the members in your warband, give them something cool they can go look and say, oh, cool, I'm in the Codex because I did a thing, and helping people be more prideful in their warbands that way, hopefully.
I actually really appreciate that, Vest, because I mean I was eventually going to do something about the Codex. I just wasn't quite sure what I want to do exactly. I had some great suggestions, but nothing concrete in my mind. And this is a welcome news.
Yeah, I totally get that, and that's obviously why I haven't been like hounding anybody like, where's the Codex? Because I kind of quickly realized from feedback, like I think I was just like super vague about it, which I think I am with some stuff. That's something like people are like, what's your vision for WA? And I have a lot of vague stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to be a lot more clear about it. Hopefully,
To catch them all. That's WA's mission. Anyways, yeah, like I feel like it's kind of weird or it's kind of hard to sometimes get your warband like to comment on these things too, because I know, like, I tossed an idea out there for the Codex, and it was me and Manigothi talking, and then I started asking people like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? And everyone's basically runs back to I don't care.
Yeah, well, so how I have it set up is right now the Huskarls are the mods in that subforum, but hopefully anybody can contribute. Like anybody who has a forum account, which would then show that they have some interest in the WA. I feel like the forum is kind of lore now.
Warriors.
Yeah. Warriors and up. And basically, yeah. So it'll sort of be like a little mini forum for your warband, with the idea being that there is sort of a, I don't know if sacred is the right word, but it's sort of it's some kind of honor.
Sacred works.
Yeah. I mean, it's just supposed to be something cool, like the same way if like you're mentioned in a story or something about WA, that it's just sort of a cool thing for people to see. I know, kind of the same way. Like I feel like when I made the card game back then, like a lot of people who weren't that involved in the WA went like, "Oh, cool! I'm in the card game. This is awesome," and that like made them care about it more, I think. So just hopefully kind of replicating that sort of thing. And yeah, like I said, I'm gonna make like a template Codex too. With and stuff.
On that note, Veth, you mentioning like having people on the cards and stuff like that, I mean that I'm sure that helped a lot of people like maybe stick around for a little longer, because that is a very cool concept. I just wanted to bring up so far the Outriders. I've gotten, including myself, 3 different character descriptions, which I'm really happy with. And I plan on getting, when I get a couple more, I'm going to write a story with the Outriders and the Unsfavored, with all the characters involved, and hopefully that'll be really cool. I have an idea in mind already, but yeah, in that same vein, just have people involved in the lore.
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome, and obviously, you know, for something like the Outriders, it probably makes the Codex a little easier, because you've sort of already got, you know, that lore aspect and people, you know, ascending to the next level in that system. Those are easy entries, I think, to come up with, but I'll try to make sure that the template doesn't require you to make something like that. Although obviously, if anybody wants to, I think it's awesome, but will just be a way to record accomplishments and that kind of thing. And if anybody has any ideas on what should be in the template, you can totally let me know. But I think I probably will be able to come up with something. I think the archives have been a good like test run in our practice of recording stuff, as far as I think that for a while we probably had too many archives entries, because I was going through and working on the WA Timeline Volume 2 and realizing like this is really detailed, which is cool, but I don't know if we need quite that many. And I think the archives is fine the way it is. Like people can post in there, the way they've been doing is fine. But I think just looking forward to the codexes, I'll probably try to emphasize there being fewer entries and more just so it's more meaningful, I guess. It's probably what I'd be looking for. But anyway, yeah, my point is that if anybody has anything they wanted included in the codex template, let me know.
Just a like off the wall like second topic. Speaking of templates, I this is just for berserkers, but I was wondering because I heard Soullight had a format for rosters, and I was just curious about that because apparently he had a format that he wanted all berserkers to follow, but like I never got it or anything.
I'm pretty sure the format is just exactly what I had originally in that Google sheet. But I mean, it's fine to just have one line on the side of it. I can still, I mean.
Oh, you mean this manual? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess this can just be something pinned in rules, possibly. But I think as far as I've seen, most of the rosters have been following this. I would have to look again closely.
I mean, 2 out of my 3 have added another line on the side, which I mean, I don't think that's an issue really.
Yeah.
They just added an extra little part of work for themselves.
I should make a note of that, though. It's a good point. I forgot about that.
Just wondering, like, if I should be doing the roster any differently. I just want to know.
I think the reason for it being like having one standard is so that we can easier make the great company rosters, but I can still just copy paste it just as easy and just not use the last line that you added for that one.
Yeah, that last line that was on the Un's favorite roster, that was more for the Huskarl and Berserker.
Yeah.
Just for moderation purposes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah, I
great.
think it's definitely useful.
Yeah, that's just to make our jobs easier. Yeah, because I was like, I wanted to add to the roster and put other things on it, but I'm not 100% sure if I should.
I mean, I think it'd be fine if you don't change like the base of what was there.
Yeah, keep the original, but just add extra things. Mainly just extra metrics, like say what games people are playing, things like that. Maybe a certain activity that is relevant to the higher ups, or just Huskarls in general. Maybe some sort of metric that we can use with other war bands to get something going. Nothing specific, just vague ideas.
Yeah, I think like that stuff should be good.
Okay, that's good to know then.
Yeah, I think right now it's not codified, but yeah, I think that's something Soullight was working on. So if that is completed, or I'll definitely make an announcement if we add it, but we can put that in rules or something if we have a
or just
template.
like the discussion channel or somewhere.
Oh yeah, that works.
Somewhere for berserkers to see. Okay, that's all I had.
Alrighty. Anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up?
Nope.
Let's talk about the duality of man.
Oh, here we go.
Well, when a man loves a woman.
And
Oh, yeah, that worked.
Fireside
Alright.
chat has come to a close. Thanks for coming, everyone.
We've got a solid 53 minutes. I think that's pretty good. I'll
That's
just
the longest I've ever lasted.
I'll just throw out
She said never.
that Maith mentioned in chat, talking about history and one's lineage, or yeah, history of WA, and the recruitment. I think that's a good point. I just wrote that down. I'm gonna try to include that in the recruitment guide, because I think that's to me that's like a cool thing to go over when you're recruiting, is like talking about, and I'm sure a lot of people already do, because that's probably how you explain houses, but just kind of going over that I think is a good idea. And I don't know, I think just going over brief history of WA is kind of cool. Like, around for 17 years is kind of neat. That kind of aspect of it.
Hey, we're fucking awesome, all right? We gotta show people.
That's the pitch.
Feels bad. I
pretty much
finally
it.
make it to a fireside and I can't articulate my point.
Pretty much.
Nah. I think I was sober from the sake I had with lunch like an hour ago.
Instant emotion.
I wouldn't argue with you. I feel like alright.
Well, I'll probably call it
Also
with that. And then, I mean, of course, like, people don't have to leave the channel when I stop streaming. We can discuss things, you know, for the next 24 hours if you want to. But the Fireside chat will
If you
officially
don't leave,
end.
you are banned.
Yes.
Dang. I was really trying
No.
to stretch this out to an hour.
When does Fold Mather go on low again?
I mean, we used to have some that were like 15 minutes, so I think this is still pretty good. And I mean,
We were super productive.
I have several notes here. Certainly, we were productive today, I think.
We have also had ones that went more than a few hours.
Yes, but I don't know if productive would describe some of those that were just people yelling at each other for 3 hours. Good stuff.
Quality.
Check it out on YouTube. People getting angry for 4 hours.
All the interwebs, guys.
Okay, well, thank you guys
We
for
just
showing up.
Cool.
And
We just need-
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying we need a donkey review on WA.
No.
I'd watch it.
Just be like, these guys are autistic.
Man, these WA guys need to be gunned down in the street like the
Wait.
degenerates they are.
Way too many trailing missions.
Oh, I just saw Maith posted in chat. Going over individuals for promotions, is that public info? No. So that's the board's review. Is how we've been doing promotions basically. So twice a month, there's a text channel for each warband, and the Huskall evaluates everyone in their warband and looks at that. Announcing who is promoted is public. That's done in Obsidian Hall. But that's basically how we do it. I mean, I don't think we could make it public, like evaluating somebody like, oh, this guy's, he's kind of a jerk sometimes. Just pin that in meat all. Like, I don't know if we could do that, but yeah, that's kind of how boys review.
No Danes present in the Fireside chat. Is this some sort of rebellion?
Oh.
Well,
Friendly
but
person.
Ducky is here though.
Clan?
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? I'm here.
Oh, sorry, I
I
just forget about
name
you.
in this channel.
Who is Ducky, anyways?
So the reason for talking to Maith in chat for promotion is that they would meet all the requirements of the above rank. That you wouldn't really be promoted like because you seem cool. Like, I mean, basically, if you're promoted, it's because you met all the requirements. So it's just sort of a given. But yeah. I guess with that, I will probably sign us off of Twitch. Thank you, anybody watching. Thank you guys all for showing up. I think another pretty productive one. So see you guys.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
Oh yeah. Share on Instagram. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Follow us on Facebook.
Pin us on Pinterest.